Music is very powerful. It can move people's emotions, it can express how people are feeling at the moment.
That performance or that production that's happening in front of that audience at that moment, it's right then and right there.
This is about impacting people. That's the whole point. This is not about me feeling better. This is about changing things. So sometimes you need to do things that won't make you feel better, but will change things. You're not going to see me in Washington wearing a tie, waiting for a 10-minute meeting with a representative so he can solve the problem. I think if you're part of a problem, you cannot solve the problem. So some things you need to fix by yourself. My name is Manuel Oliver. I am Joaquin Oliver's dad. I lost my son on February 14th at the Parkland shooting. I am an artist. I'm a graphic street art person. That's my thing. And I was able to turn that into activism. So I like to call it graphic activism. Joaquin was a great dude. I mean, an incredible person, an awesome friend. He was making sure that we all understood that we should fight for a fair game in terms of social behavior. And if it wasn't because of him and everything that he was able to share with me as my best friend and son, I wouldn't have been able to do what I'm doing right now. Walls of Demand, it's a program under Change the Ref, which is our nonprofit. And Walls of Demand, it's a way to visit different locations. Usually in these locations, some tragedies had occurred before. What we do with these walls is we visit these locations, we make our point, the way we feel about gun laws and how they don't represent what is happening. They don't answer to what we're asking for. And they will see how in 30 or 40 minutes we can make a mural that at the end of the performance will make a point. I have made 10 walls so far. Hammering the wall happened by total random situation of me feeling mad in that first wall that we did in Wynwood on like a couple of weeks after the tragedy. I happened to have a hammer in my hand and I had some sunflowers, 17 sunflowers that I needed to place on the wall somehow. So my plan A was to have some nails and nail the sunflowers to the wall. So I had the hammer, I had the nails, I had the sunflowers, but I was mad before all this. And I hammered the wall out of nowhere just to release my anger. Boom! I found this perfect round hole in the wall that it was like asking me, put the sunflower here. So when I saw that and when I saw the reaction, okay, I'm adding something to the wall that now is being more interactive. Now it's more related to what happened to Joaquin. So I hit the wall 17 times and I opened 17 holes. So those holes and that sound represents the shooting itself. And after that, placing the sunflowers, it's honoring each of the victims. I am not the victim. Joaquin is the victim. So let's not put ourselves as victims in here. Oh, I feel bad. No, I do feel bad, but that is not the problem. The problem is that my son was shot 4 times inside the hall of his school. So whatever I do, it's not even close to that. And it will never be close to that. So I have to do it. If it makes me feel bad, well, I have to deal with it. I'll cry when I get back home, I'll have a drink, I don't know. I'll figure it out. Joaquin cannot figure it out. He's dead. So I need to make sure that this is very impactful.
I think it's essential to write things that, well, at least for me, that I feel passionate about. They're things that are really important to me because that passion comes through on the page and then eventually onto the stage. I'm Michael McKeever. I am a playwright living and working in South Florida. I'm also an actor, a designer, and an illustrator, but primarily I'm a playwright. As a playwright, I am constantly working on creating new stories, telling new stories to be presented on stage. Right now, there's one of my plays is having its New York premiere. It's a play called After, and it's a play that deals with gun violence and guns in schools. The way that I wanted to approach the play was not so much in school or with the students or with the young people, but with the parents. I've always been fascinated about the parents of not only the victims, but also the parents of the shooters, and what leads up to that sort of tragedy, and perhaps more important, what happens after that tragedy to these families, and what we learn and how we move on when something that horrible happens. It resonated with me. It was very, very important to me to tell that story, and as a result, the finished project was very passionate and very powerful. If you're working in film or television, you could have a perfect scene that's beautifully acted, beautifully lit, and that scene is going to be seen again at 10 o'clock, and the next day at 4 o'clock, and the next day at 8 o'clock. But when you're dealing with live theater, that performance or that production that's happening in front of that audience at that moment, it's right then and right there. And you'll never get the exact same performance again. And when you have that golden moment where you have actors saying your lines and the audience is responding exactly the way that you want them to respond, there's nothing better.
I love jazz just because you're able to improvise, coming up with melodies on the spot and trying to fit them in the chord progressions, and being able to swing and put your own feeling and like soul to like the music. It's always been like a challenge for me, but I really want to tackle that challenge and really try to become a good jazz musician, hopefully one day. I'm Summer Camargo and I'm a musician. I consider myself both a musician and a composer. A composer especially since as a jazz musician you're composing melodies on the spot when you're improvising, and a musician because I play music and I try to play all different types of music. Something I love about jazz music is being able to improvise, because I think it's an amazing form of expression and something I really enjoy, just doing spontaneous, on the spot, making up melodies, and it's something I've always been fascinated with. And just music in general, I just love listening to sounds and just hearing chords and things that just gives me goosebumps, and like it's just really incredible to hear sounds and just in general. Being in the Dillard Center for the Arts Jazz Band has opened up many opportunities for me. For example, the jazz band's been to the Essentially Ellington competition, and Mr. Dorsey's recommended me to try out to a few honor bands like the Vail Jazz Workshop, NYO Jazz. Musically, being in the Dillard Center for the Arts Jazz Band has pushed me to my limits, and Mr. Dorsey has really pushed me to become a better jazz musician. He's taught me how to swing, he's taught me how to work as a team. He's taught me to how to become a leader, being the section leader for the trumpets. Someday I hope to go to a conservatory after I graduate, and to maybe have my own group one day. I want to be able to teach and help kids because I feel that's very important. It's good to give back to the community because someone took the time to help you, and so I want to be able to take my time and help some of the kids that want to have the same desires that I have.